about the week that MAGA was having this week. So let's dive into it. Number one, I want to talk about the Epstein vote. The vote on the Epstein files happened this week. It went through the House. There was one person that voted against it. I really don't care about that person. What I do want to point out is one person who kept prolonging this vote, who kept working on behalf of the felon to prolong, push off, so much so that he gave the House what did they have, like a 7 to 8 week paid vacation? MAGA Mike Johnson. He voted in favor of it. Okay, so that's something that we need to know. At the end of the day, MAGA Mike voted in favor of the Epstein files being released. Then it went over to the Senate. The Senate had a unanimous vote. Unanimous vote. Chuckles came in. He said, hey, look, I want to push this through as a unanimous vote, both sides. Is everybody cool with that? They responded, yes, it moved forward. So then it went to Kankel's desk. I want to say that was late Wednesday night. He either signed it late Wednesday night, I believe it was late Wednesday night. He signed it in the dark of the night. Apparently, no fanfare, no media, nobody in the office. He didn't want to flaunt his losses. So he signed it in the dark, but it was signed. That's what we're being told. It was signed. And so now he has 30 days, or his administration, Pam Bondi, has 30 days to actually provide the Epstein files. Now, do I believe that they're going to provide them? That is a question. That is the $1,000,000 question, because you heard Pam Bondi repeatedly refer to this investigation, and we're going to, exactly what did she say? We're going to follow the law. We're going to follow the law on this. She literally said, follow the law like 6 times in this one conversation. I was like, okay, chick, we get it. You're trying to say that you're going to follow the law when y'all haven't followed the law since you took office. So why would we believe that bullshit? So again, playing in our faces. So apparently what she's talking about, what she's referring to, because the felon keeps saying, you need to look at this person, you need to look at that person, you need to look at it, and he keeps throwing out Democrats. Okay, we don't care. Look at all of them. Investigate all of them. Whomever comes out in the Epstein files, they need to receive accountability. I don't care if it was Bill Clinton. I don't care if it was, who did I read in Virginia Giuffre's book? I read some of the celebrity names and I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting their names. I already told you that in the first tranche of emails that I was able to read on the Oversight Committee's page, Michael Jackson and Diana Ross were at a party or something. They're in it. So we don't care though. I don't care. Release the files. Everybody can get it. Everybody can get it as far as I'm concerned. Release the files. Release them. So this is what she's talking about when there's, this open investigation in the Southern District of New York. And that's only because Kankles keeps saying, look at this person, look at that person, investigate this person. There's no open investigation. And before you all get in my comments about, well, it didn't happen under Biden, it didn't happen, it didn't happen under Biden because, girl, Maxwell, she was filing an appeal. Okay, so there was an open investigation, or things were still happening on her case because she was filing an appeal. So they couldn't do anything when Biden was in office. So let's stop that argument too. But here's the thing that they're trying to do. I believe they're going to try to prolong releasing the files with this whole notion of, we're investigating this person, we're looking into this, and that's in the Southern District of New York. So we have no control over that. Also, in the same token, People have said, well, if they do release him, then they're going to be heavily, heavily redacted. They're going to pull his name out of stuff. They're going to pull. We already know how many times that he's been mentioned. He's been mentioned more than anyone in the Epstein files. I believe it's like 1,600 some odd times in this last tranche of emails that came from the Epstein estate. So we already know that we should be seeing his name repeatedly. The only names that should be redacted or changed to victim one, victim two, victim 510 should be the survivors. Okay, that should be the only thing that's redacted. But here's the kind of safeguard for that happening. There are still bank records. There are still records with the Epstein estate, and we've seen some of that. And then we also have the survivors who know exactly who should be in those files. So they can play around with the files if you want, if they want, but there is evidence and information out there that we can check if they've changed some shit. So there's that. So yeah, he has from the 30 days from the time that it was signed, and we'll see where that goes. Now, his response to being upset about, Republicans going against him and voting in favor of the Epstein files, here's some of the things we saw this week in his temper tantrum that he threw. So in response, he sent B-52s to Venezuela. Don't know whether or not you peeped that or you caught that, but he sent B-52s to Venezuela. We don't know what that's about, but we do know that he's been trying to start up and stir up something in Venezuela. So keep your eyes on that. We also know that he reposted some things that would allude to death by hanging of sitting congressmen or congresspersons. He reposted that information. These were a couple of things that, his response, his little temper tantrum. I do want to make sure that I talk about, fully discuss what was reposted, because it's crazy. It's crazy that the president would repost these things. Okay, so here we go. So he first posts seditious behavior punishable by death. That was on the 20th at 10:21 a.m. Okay, and then the next post, or the next truth posting, this is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from, seditious behavior from traitors, lock them up. Now this has question marks. Lock them up. President DJT. Then the last one was just a repost. Hang them, George Washington Wood, with exclamation points. And this is a repost that he posted on his page. Okay, so this comes from the sitting president. Now, this is in response to these Congress members basically doing a PSA, a public service announcement to the military, saying that you should not follow any unlawful orders. They were just saying, hey, remember your oath. Do not follow any unlawful orders. And then KKK Caroline and the felon start saying all this stuff like they have said the complete opposite. They completely left out that critical term, that critical word, unlawful. So all that happened earlier this week as well. All right, so let's move on. The Mandami effect. The Mandami effect. Okay, did y'all see what happened in the Oval Office when Mandami came to visit? The felon was like a giddy little teenager. He was all smiles. He was being all nice and, oh, you don't have to say that, and just cheesing in Mandani's face, all of the things. And I have some theories on that. I do think there's a little man crush that's happening there. Y'all know I feel about how I feel about him. You know, he's on Friday nights, he's blasting the Phantom of the Opera from the Oval Office. When the Epstein files were, the pressure was on. He's got this questionable thing with Bubba going on. Well, move over, Bubba. Move over, Bubba. There's a new Bubba in town, and his name is Mom Donnie. Mom Donnie. There's definitely a man crush going on there. I don't know if you saw this, but the very next day, the felon had on an outfit that looked like I couldn't tell if that was a turtleneck with the overcoat, and his hair was combed a little differently. Like he was trying to put on his New York swag because Mom Donnie had been in the office the day before. I'm telling y'all, it's a little man crush going on, a little man crush. Move over, Bubba. Move over, Bubba. But also, Mom Donnie is hot right now. He's hot. Everybody's talking about him. The felon likes to be surrounded and be a part of and be connected to people who are hot. Like he keeps talking about America's hot right now. This person's hot. Like that's his word right now. So he feels and he's thinking that about Mom Donnie, and I believe that was happening. Mom Donnie looks good on TV. He's easy on the eyes. I believe that was a factor too. I believe that's why he is still holding on to Pete Hegseth, Pretty Pete, because Pretty Pete looks good on camera. See, and in the felon's mind, you have to understand, he got his start in reality TV and he got stuck there. He's mentally stuck there. So in his mind, if you look at all the Christy Nome of it, how she's cosplaying, she's got these different costumes and she's showing up with a bulletproof vest, and then she's got the cap on, she's got the camo on, she's on the back of a horse. Like it's all orchestrated. Even Pete Hegseth now has a makeup room in the Pentagon. It's one big reality show to him. All of this is one big reality show to him. So Mondani looks good on television. He sees him as a winner. And of course, the felon wants to be surrounded by winners. So you got that. Okay. Then you got the bully component. Mamdani shows up as somebody who will not be bullied. I'm going to say whatever the hell I want to say, and I'm going to say it with my whole chest, and I'm not changing a word that I said. If you miss this, go back and watch the video if you missed this. But in the Oval Office, Mandami said two things. Number one thing he said was that he said with his whole chest, and he still believes that it's highly problematic that America supported a genocide that's happening in Gaza. The genocide that's happening in Gaza, still currently happening in Gaza. The ceasefire, that's a bunch of bullshit. They're still attacking those people. And they're in the middle of winter and their tents are getting flooded out. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, but he said that in the Oval Office. Who else has said that in the Oval Office? To the felon's face. No one. I don't think anybody even said it to Biden's face, and they should have. They should have. And then you also had Mandami, he gets asked the question, well, you said that the felon was a fascist during your campaign. Do you still believe that? And before he could respond, the felon says, oh, no, you don't have to answer that. Just say yes. It's easier than answer. And then Mandami said, well, yeah, I said it. Those two things happen. So what you were seeing is like a game peeps game, a game respects game, or the bully saying, oh, he can't be bullied. So let me pull back a little bit. Let me pull back a little bit. And that's any bully. That's any bully. If you call them on their shit and say, okay, let's go. Let's do it. Let's go. They're going to back down. They didn't really want the smoke. They want to create the facade, the smoke and mirrors that they are big and bad when they are not. The felon is not. And the last thing I believe that was happening in the White House with the Mandami effect was the con. He was throwing the charm on. That's how he cons people. That's how psychopaths con people. They're charming people. They are charming people initially. That's how they reel you in. That's how my ex reeled me in. They are charming people. So he was throwing on the charm. He was looking at and peeping like, oh, I can't bully this person. He stands his ground. And then also, he's the hot thing right now. He looks good on TV. I need to be seen with him. And then the next day, you got the felon outside in the overcoat with I don't know if that was an ascot or a turtleneck on, but the hair was swooped to the side. He was trying to get his little New York flavor on. That's what was happening. The Mamdani effect. Mamdani effect. Okay, so moving on, because again, I'm trying to cut these down. Oh, Twitter accounts. So MAGA is losing their minds right now. Twitter accounts. It was revealed on X that all these MAGA Twitter accounts, well, not all of them, but a lot of them, several of them, enough of them, are actually being run in different countries. They have thousands upon thousands of followers in Indonesia. They're being run out of Indonesia, Nigeria, India, Russia, Bangladesh, Morocco, Serbia, Thailand, East Europe. All these accounts that claim to be part of MAGA here in America, they're being run out of other countries. Why? Why do you ask? Just to stir up the pot, stir up the shit here in America to continue to divide us and pit us against one another. And guess what, MAGA? There are several people, influencers in these other countries that have been making a lot of money, I'm quite sure, off of your anger, off of your racism, off of your why is meism, off of all of that, off of your victimism, all of that. Other countries, not even American, not even American. So MAGA is having a meltdown right now because the Twitter accounts have been revealed. Okay, so moving on. The Coast Guard. The Coast Guard, it came out, Kristi Noem, the Coast Guard falls under Kristi Noem. And so they said, well, we will no longer classify swastikas, nooses, and the Confederate flag as hate symbols. That came out on Wednesday and it was rescinded on Thursday because the people were like, oh, hell no. That's not happening. Now, a key thing that you need to pay attention to, though, what's behind that? Who could be behind this change? Because not only are they trying to push women out of the military, they're trying to push people of color out of the military. Remember, I already talked about this, the whole razor bump thing. And if you can't shave, be clean shaven. Remember when Pete Hegseth summoned everybody to Quantico in the military, the heads, he went on all these categories that we will not be accepting anymore. Women, trans people, people of color, specifically Black men, because of the whole razor bump thing, all of that. And then now they want to throw in all of these, make these hateful images and symbols okay, because they want a military of, again, white Christian nationalists, probably racist, what they think are heterosexual, right-wing, Aryan, white men. That's what they want the military to consist of, period. So that was shut down the very next day. Two things. It's probably going to come back again because that's what they want. And number two, to my Jewish people out there, like the, traditional Jewish people out there, please take note of this. You seem to be aligning yourself with some of these groups, specifically the Heritage Foundation. And at the end of the day, you really need to be paying attention to who you're aligning yourself with. Because the Heritage Foundation is behind all of this shit. And apparently they were okay with the swastikas and they were okay with Nick Fuentes. They're okay with Nick Fuentes. I'm just saying, y'all better wake up. Okay, so moving on. Another thing that you should really keep on your radar, I want to make sure that I'm finished here before I add this last point in, but something else that you should really keep on your radar is just this week, and this is specifically for my California folks. The regime has proposed opening waters off of California and Florida, oh, well, Floridians too, and Florida to oil drilling. Okay, why is this important? Why is this critical? Now, Gavin Newsom has already come out and said, oh, hell no, that's not happening. But one key point I want to make here is this is exactly what Netanyahu did right before October 7th happened. Go back and watch my old videos. I'm not going to go through everything, but in July of 2023, it's either June or July of 2023, Netanyahu signed off on licenses for companies from different countries, one from America, one or two from America included, to drill and look for oil off the coast of Gaza. And I truly believe that they found something from June, July to October. And that's part of the reason why October 7th happened. And I want you to remember the delay in response from Netanyahu and the IDF for their own people on October 7th. I want you to remember how Netanyahu for years had been giving suitcases of cash to Hamas prior to October 7th. But before that happened, in I want to say July, I'll repost clips of the video, but in the July of that year, June or July of that year, Netanyahu signed off on the same exact thing. The same thing. And on this point, I would also like to add, a lot of the surveillance that we are seeing right now that's being used by the ICE folks is the same surveillance that they are using and have been using in Israel. The same using their phone to identify AI face identification, same thing. The drones, using drones for identification, same thing. These things we are seeing here in America. And this one really, really made my spidey senses go crazy, my intuition go crazy, because I remember like, that's interesting. When I was looking at October 7th and looking what led up to October 7th, one key thing that I noted was months just shortly prior to October 7th happening, Netanyahu had signed off for that drilling to be done off the shore of Gaza. And then everything unfolded, and here we are 2 years later, over 2 years later, and the genocide is still happening. They want that land. They want access to all of that land because of the money, the oil, the money, the minerals, whatever they have found there that they know is going to be lucrative to them. And this is the same thing that Felon 47 just brought up this week in regards to California. So stay woke and pay attention.